Hello property lovers, welcome to your one-stop shop of building construction, architecture and real estate. Now we're looking at swimming pools, which are usually mostly used for either sports, leisure or even working out. Mostly fitted in the ground or above ground, they're also used as amenities in yachts and cruises. Now we're looking at swimming pools as they've become increasingly popular, especially in this hot sun in residential projects. We're going to have a number of built environment specialists to demystify things such as cost, maintenance, applications, installation, and so much more. It's all about swimming pools in this episode. Stay tuned. I'm your host, Peter Ngigi. Now, the month of January is quite hot, and taking a dip can be quite a relief for those of us who can. Now, we're going to have a chat with a civil engineer, finding out what does it take to construct a swimming pool. And welcome to Property Focus.
Thank you.
Good, good. Tell us about yourself.
My name is John Muthiga.
Yes.
I'm a mechanical engineer by profession and a director at Sonic Limited.
So, John, what is the best place to site your swimming pool?
It's a good question, Peter. There are a number of factors which come into play when you're selecting a good place for your swimming pool. Number one, you'd want to consider safety. Safety is a big thing. So you want your pool to be located in an area where you can easily monitor the activities that are going around in the pool, especially when you have kids around.
Yes.
You can also quickly take action in case of anything. The other item which you need to consider is does the area get enough shine? Because when you're swimming, you also want to make sure that there's a bit of light. You know, with buildings all around being built, you have to make sure it's sited well. Then there's privacy. Privacy is a very big thing when it comes to selecting a good location. You would need to also consider your neighbors, whether they can see what is going in and around the pool. So sometimes you might even end up having to maybe put a larger boundary wall on one side, just to ensure you're getting privacy when you're using your pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how many types of pools are there in the market today? Yes.
We have 4 different types of pools. We have concrete pools, we have vinyl pools, fiberglass pools, and gunite pools.
Tell us about those, some of those words.
When it comes to the 4 different types of pools, it's the material that comes into constructing the pools that basically has the different types. Okay. So, for example, a concrete pool, as the name suggests, a concrete pool is built using concrete, basically. Then you'd go to a fiberglass pool, and then a vinyl pool has a material which covers the pool, which is, you'll find sometimes in the market, it's also called a liner pool. Okay. Because that vinyl lines the pool itself. Then gunite is a mixture of cement and sand, and those are the 4 different categories. If we could delve deeper into it, concrete pools also have different categories, which I can mention of deck level pools. A deck level pool is where you have the top of the water level at the same level as the deck. It's very, very easy to spot one. You'd find it has a channel all around. And when we get maybe into the details a little bit, the water displaced goes into a balancing tank and such.
Give the infinity illusion.
Exactly.
Yes.
You've mentioned a good, it's another different type of pool. An infinity pool gives a visual illusion of a pool which does not have an edge. So you'd find water overflowing in 2 or 3 sides or even one side. So a person who's standing at the deck would have an illusion of it having an infinity edge, hence the term infinity.
Without any borders.
Correct.
Wonderful, wonderful. John, we're at a swimming pool right now. What type of pool is this?
Well, this is you'd call it an infinity level because the water overflows on one edge, but it's also a very unique pool because it's a natural pool. There are not so many pools in Kenya which have been done this way, but it's a pool that does not use any chemicals for treatment.
Okay.
It employs a natural kind of way for treating the water. Basically, you can say it's like taking a dive in the river.
So you're saying this pool doesn't have any chlorine, nothing?
No chemicals whatsoever.
How does it work? Is it clean?
Well, you've got a circulation system still. So you have a pump and a filter to get rid of the debris that come in automatically. And you also have a UV sterilizer, which suppresses the growth of algae. And then you've got a pond, which nature has an interesting way of doing things. So there are plants which can and do remove algae from water. So the water recirculates from the ponds and is brought back to the pool.
And you know, our viewers might not know this, but a client mentioned that actually frogs, he swims inside this pool with frogs inside.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yes.
I think, well, frogs have no harm to human beings unless they are the poisonous ones. But since the water is very clean, they feel very at home when they are in the pool. So he doesn't mind, he just dives in and yeah. It's the exact same experience as swimming in a river. Yeah.
So what are some of the misconceptions that are in the market about swimming pools?
Oh, well, people tend to think that swimming pools require a lot of water. So you'd find people, when you look at a pool, you're thinking, this is so much water that you're going to be consuming. But that's not the case. Once you fill the pool with water on the first time, you never need to remove all that water back again. Because you have a circulation system which is cleaning the pool. The only water which you're topping up is water that is lost probably through evaporation, or when bathers are in, splashing around, there's some water which you will need to top up. But it doesn't require a lot of water. The second item that people tend to think that a misconception about the pools is that you require a very large space for you to have a pool. Well, it's not the case. Depending on the purpose or why you're building the pool, you'd find that even your 50 by 100s, you can, with proper planning, you can have a pool in there, and it will still be very functional. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, John, for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. There you have it. Even in your 50 by 100, you could have a swimming pool. Little did you know. Now, we're going to have a short commercial break, but when we're back, we've got other built environment specialists to just tell us a bit more about these swimming pools. Stay tuned. And welcome back. Now we're still here to the natural pool with actual frogs in it. And we're going to go to the infinity pool that the mechanical engineer just talked about in just a bit. And we've got a structural engineer to tell us a little bit more about this. And welcome to Property Focus.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Good, good. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Engineer Shama Kiteme. I'm a civil engineer. On a normal day, I'm involved in planning, design, construction, supervision of engineering projects of civil engineering and structural nature. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay,
yeah.
Brilliant. So we're talking about swimming pools. How then do you respond to a brief of a swimming pool on land or in a building?
Thank you, Pete, for the question. The concept of the swimming pool, whether on land or inside the building, is the same. You basically are dealing with a water retaining structure. When outside, you build it on soil. You do an excavation, then you build it on that excavation. When in the building, you are likely to suspend it on a floor, sometimes on the ground. But the most important thing is that the structure is a water retaining structure, and it has to be waterproof. So you have to add some chemicals in the concrete while preparing before pouring, so that the concrete is waterproof. Yes.
What chemicals are these?
We basically call them admixtures. They are chemicals that you put in concrete to alter the concrete properties. In this case, you put in them to make sure the concrete is waterproof, so there cannot be a leak in your swimming pool.
And this applies both for inner building and also on land.
Absolutely. In addition, while responding to a brief on a swimming pool on land, you design reinforced concrete structures to Euro Code 2. And Part 3 deals with water retaining structures, where swimming pools fall under.
Yes.
So you basically want to design it to comply with Euro Code Part 3. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. What kind of soil should one have whenever putting up a swimming pool?
Well, you definitely don't have a choice of soil per se. The site that you're building is where you deal with the
Just
kind
have
of
to
soil
work
that is
with
there.
that.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But there are soils that are problematic. For example, black cotton soil that you have to do a lot of, you have to remove it in entirety because it has impacts on the structure. But if you find soil like red soil and all that, they are a bit easier to work with as opposed to black cotton soil. And so basically, not that you have a choice of the soil, it's basically the site that you have that dictates the soil you're dealing with. But then you respond to the kind of the site that you have appropriately. Yeah.
As an engineer, is there a building code for putting up a swimming pool?
There's a building code that guides all, the built environment in the country.
Yes.
The last one was done in 1968, but it's currently under review under NCA. The building code stipulates some guidelines on the swimming pools.
Yes.
For example, you cannot have a swimming pool somewhere in public and someone can stray from the street and all of a sudden fall in the swimming pool. You basically have to provide safety measures like a fence and stuff like that.
Yes.
And so guidelines are there, yes, in the building code on how to go about a swimming pool, yeah.
So the question that's on everybody's mind, engineer, how much does it cost to build a 6 meter by 8 meter swimming pool?
Well, there are factors that, affect the price, like the kind of additives. Do you want an hydro pool? You have to have lighting in the swimming pool and other safety measures. But give and take, between 1.5 to 2 million would be a reasonable cost, fairly.
Fairly.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you had a complicated, interesting design that you've had to work on?
Absolutely. Swimming pool design would depend on the concept. A regular swimming pool, for instance, a rectangular or square swimming pool.
Sort of like this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's quite straightforward.
Okay.
But interesting designs like, a map of Africa, the shape of a heart, the shape of a kidney would definitely be...
The client a doctor for that?
Absolutely. You would expect that.
Yeah.
The different tests
Yes.
from different clients. Yeah, basically. Another very important thing to consider is the safety, whether outdoor or inside the building.
Okay.
You want to provide safety measures so that a kid will not just walk and accidentally drown in the swimming pool. And so safety features become very important in arriving at the design. So fencing becomes important and providing a lockable entrance to this swimming pool area.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just throw a spanner in the works before we conclude. If you have a leak that was done by a previous engineer, how then do you amend that? What do you do about that?
Okay, there are repair mechanisms for concrete structures. One method we use is guniting, which is basically using concrete under pressure to seal the leak. And there are various mechanisms, but that is one of them to repair concrete leaks in case the swimming pool is a concrete structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any advice you'd like to give any developers or builders who want to put up a swimming pool?
Well, swimming pools are nice, they are aesthetic, but you have to think about their design. You make sure they don't leak.
Yes.
You have to think about their maintenance. You want to think about the pumping, the heating system, and basically to make sure that you maintain them in a good shape for you being usable. Otherwise, you'll have a swimming pool that is not as useful as you want it to be. But overall, they're nice. You need to engage a civil engineer to design them so that you get good results.
And that was Engineer Sharma on the engineering process of just designing and building a swimming pool. We've got the billboards up next and the materials profile thereon after on swimming pool installations in just a bit. Stay tuned. Westhill Shelters Limited. We have fully serviced prime plots in Juja Farm next to Mireri and Athi schools at Kenya shillings 500,000, payable in 3 months installment plan. For more details, visit our office at Ruiri Gutuamba Plaza, 3rd floor, room L20, or call us on 0727 200 100. Visit us on Facebook at Westhill Shelters. Westhill Shelters Limited. Invest today for a better tomorrow. And welcome back. Now we've got a swimming pool expert to tell us about the swimming pool installation systems. So welcome to Property Focus.
Thank you.
Excellent. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Stephen Moher. I am a pool expert, having worked in the industry for 17 years. And it's been good all these years. Yeah.
So undoubtedly an expert with over 10,000 hours in the field, so you're an expert for sure. Wonderful. Now tell us about the accessories that accompany swimming pool installations.
Yeah, that's a good question. Generally, a swimming pool is made a swimming pool because of the accessories or the equipment that it has. Actually, it would be a mass of water, so to say. Okay. So the equipment, mainly they are basic equipment, and there are other additional equipment that make a pool more enhanced. So the basic equipment that would made that can make a pool to look like a pool is filters, and pumps, and obviously the pipe work. You have inlets, outlets, and a few other accessories for that. But generally, those are the main basic equipment that make a pool to work.
Now, how long should these equipments last for? If you've got a good quality system, how long should it last for?
The equipment would last long. Some of them are actually almost a lifetime of the pool, like a filter. But it would require some services over and over, like every 2-3 years, depending again on the location of the pool. Also, the pumps would need a bit of service because they have some moving parts, and they would require either some replacement or a complete change of them. So generally, they would require services, but they can last for long.
Now, what are some of the new trends and technologies you've seen in the market so far?
Yeah, it's been interesting, being a kind of an evolving kind of market. We have seen a lot of new trends. Nowadays, we are grappling with actually a lot of them, and mainly we have introduced a few in the market, like in the Kenya market. Some time back, there was heat pumps was unheard of, and for the last few years, we have had heat pumps being embraced. This is an alternative for solar. And basically, it saves a bit of power. You pay about 20% of what you get.
Yes.
Other trends are like variable speed pumps, which also reduce a bit of power usage. Whenever your pool is not in high use, you can run your pump at a lower speed. We have also gotten some introduction of solar pumps. Again, is a very new thing that is being embraced a lot. So solar pumps are basically using solar power without using any kind of KPLC power. The other ones we could say maybe mostly on lighting. We have smart lighting, we have LED lighting, color changing lighting. So that has been used a lot to enhance the ambience of the pool.
So on average, how much then would it cost to maintain, let's say, a 4x12 swimming pool?
Yeah, a 4x12 is a good size. That would be considered a domestic pool. A domestic pool is quite cheap to maintain because the main thing is just chemicals and a few cleaning duties. Chemicals would cost a range of about 5 to about 7,000, and then you have the power bills and maybe a bit of labor. A maximum I would give it at about 15, including labor.
15,000 a month?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For commercial, I would give it at about 40,000 because it is slightly bigger. We are talking of rates of about 300,000 liters, so that would be about 40,000 shillings.
Give us your parting shot to anybody who wants to put up a swimming pool, let's say for residential use or commercial use.
Swimming pools are not the ancient thing now that used to be regarded for the high and mighty. Nowadays they have been very affordable, and the main advice I would give is on the construction. Many people get it wrong whenever they use just people who know how to build, and they get involved in the swimming pool, and then later on it gives a customer a whole bit of problems. So it's good to involve experts, even if it's not fully for construction. You have an expert who has been in the industry for the swimming pool market.
Yes.
The other thing I would say is even the affordability is not as it used to be. So if you want to enhance or to add value for your property, it's a good thing to go for. It costs maybe about 3 million for a domestic pool. And even with schools, you have seen how the schools with pools and the schools without have a whole difference. So it's a value add to have a swimming pool. Yes. Maybe the last one I would say is on maintenance. Again, there are companies offering training, offering chemicals. Go for quality chemicals. Go for for the people who are known out there, because chemicals can be of different quality, and maybe it will make it very expensive.
Wonderful. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, from Steve himself, a swimming pool expert with 17 years experience. I bet you now know more and you're more enlightened about your swimming pool. Stay tuned. Now, thank you for staying with us from the beginning of the show till the end. Now, remember, if you want to catch up with us, follow up, or have any topics discussed on the show, reach out to us on our social media handles on Property Focus on Facebook and Property_Focus_ on Instagram, and we'll be more than glad to have these guests here. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Peter Ngigi. Now it's time for me to get in this pool.